Captain James Walker stood at the wide viewing window of the Terran diplomatic vessel Horizon, watching as another alien ship suddenly changed course. This was the seventh ship this week to make an unexpected turn away from Earth's sector. He rubbed his tired eyes, wondering if lack of sleep was making him imagine things. "Captain, you need to see this," called Tom from his communication station. The young officer's voice shook slightly. "We're picking up some kind of warning signal. It's being broadcast on all frequencies." Walker moved quickly to Tom's station. The message scrolled across the screen in Universal Standard, the simplified language used for galactic communication. His blood ran cold as he read it. "Warning. By order of the Ancients, all spacefaring vessels are advised to avoid Earth's sector. This is not a request. This is for your survival." The Ancients, every space-traveling species knew about them. They were the first ones, the oldest known beings in the galaxy. They rarely interfered with anyone, preferring to watch from their mysterious outposts near the galactic core. For them to issue a warning like this was unprecedented. "Send a message to Earth Command," Walker ordered. "They need to know about this immediately." Before Tom could act, the ship's AI announced, "Captain, multiple ships are dropping out of faster-than-light travel nearby." Walker returned to the viewing window. Dozens of ships from different alien species appeared in the darkness of space, but instead of continuing on their usual trade routes, they all began turning away from Earth like a school of fish avoiding a predator. "Sir," Tom called out again, "the Galactic Council is convening an emergency session." He paused, checking his screen twice. "But Earth's representatives haven't been invited." Walker felt a chill run down his spine. In the 5 years since Earth had joined the galactic community, they had never been excluded from council meetings. Something was very wrong. The ship's AI spoke again. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns in the communication networks. It appears private messages are being shared between species. Can you intercept any of them?" Walker asked. "One moment. Yes. Decoding now." The message appeared on the main screen, and Walker read it aloud. "The Ancients speak truth. Earth harbors more than just humans. It's not just them you need to fear. We were fools to ignore the old warnings." Walker turned to his second-in-command, Robert, who had been quietly observing everything. "What old warnings are they talking about?" Robert shook his head. "In all our diplomatic contacts, nobody ever mentioned any warnings about Earth." The ship shuddered slightly as another vessel passed nearby, its engines pushing to maximum speed to get away from Earth's sector as quickly as possible. "Tom, send a message to every alien ship in range," Walker ordered. "Request explanation for this warning. Remind them of our peaceful diplomatic status." After several minutes, Tom looked up from his station. "Sir, no one is responding. They're receiving our messages, but..." He trailed off as his screen lit up with a new alert. "Captain, the Ancients are broadcasting again." This time, the message was shorter but even more disturbing. Earth was quarantined for a reason. We remember what dwells there. The young ones playing at civilization on its surface don't know what shares their world. For your safety, stay away. Walker watched as the last few ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the space around Earth eerily empty except for human vessels. In just a few hours, years of diplomatic progress had evaporated. "Sir," Robert said quietly, "what do we do now?" Walker stared out at the now empty space, his mind racing with possibilities, none of them good. "We find out what the Ancients know about Earth that we don't. Because whatever it is, it scared the oldest species in the galaxy so badly they're warning everyone to stay away." He turned to face his crew. "And more importantly, we need to find out what exactly we've been sharing our planet with all this time." The Horizon hung silently in space, its crew watching their sensors as ship after ship disappeared from their screens, leaving Earth isolated once again. But this time, they knew they weren't alone. They just didn't know what kind of company they were keeping. Commander Lisa Thompson sat in the dusty archives of the Lunar Research Station, surrounded by holographic star charts. For the past week, she had been searching for any clue about why the galaxy's oldest species had suddenly warned everyone away from Earth. What she found made no sense. "Computer, show me the trade route maps from 50 years before Earth's first contact," she said, rubbing her tired eyes. The hologram shifted, displaying ancient alien shipping lanes. A large empty circle surrounded Earth's solar system, like a bubble no one would enter. "They were avoiding us even before we had spacecraft," she whispered to herself. But why? Her computer tablet buzzed. Another diplomatic mission had failed. That made 15 attempts in the past month. Every alien species now refused to meet with human representatives. They wouldn't even answer video calls. On the far side of the galaxy, a young alien named Ridge sat in his small research ship, breaking every rule his people had about staying away from Earth. He didn't look very different from humans, except for his slightly blue skin and large eyes that could see in the dark. He was what humans would call an anthropologist, though his people had a much longer word for it. "Ship's log," Ridge spoke softly. "Day 12 of unauthorized Earth observation. The Ancients' warning has caused panic, but no one is asking the obvious question. Why issue the warning now? Earth has been marked as forbidden space for thousands of years. Something must have changed." His ship's sensors beeped, warning him that a human satellite was passing nearby. Ridge activated his cloaking device, becoming invisible just in time. He had positioned his small ship in orbit around Earth's moon, hidden from both human technology and other alien observers. Back on the horizon, Captain Walker was dealing with another strange problem. His ship's sensors kept detecting something that shouldn't be possible, spots where space itself seemed to bend. "Robert, look at this," Walker called to his second-in-command. "These energy readings don't make any sense. It's like something's moving through space, but not in any way we understand." Robert studied the sensor display. "Sir, these patterns, they're not random. They're forming some kind of shape around Earth." Commander Thompson's voice came through their communication system. "Captain Walker, I need you to see something immediately. I found something in the old star charts." Minutes later, Walker stared at the holographic maps in Thompson's archive room. They showed the same thing Robert had noticed, a pattern around Earth. But these maps were from thousands of years ago. "Whatever we're detecting now," Thompson explained, "it's been there all along. We just couldn't see it before." Ridge's sensors picked up the same strange readings. He enhanced the image, trying to understand what he was seeing. That's when his ship's computer made a connection that made his heart skip a beat. "Warning," his ship's AI announced. "Pattern matches restricted historical records from the Ancients' archive. Access forbidden." Ridge took a deep breath. He had come too far to stop now. "Computer, override restriction. Authorization code. Scientific emergency protocol." The computer hesitated for a moment, then displayed the ancient records. Ridge's large eyes grew even wider as he read. "No wonder they're all so afraid," he whispered. The records showed something impossible. Long before the Ancients had become the galaxy's oldest species, they had tried to colonize Earth. The records ended with a warning written in the oldest known language. "This world is not empty. They were here first. Never again." As Ridge read the ancient warning, Commander Thompson discovered something else in the lunar archives. Hidden in the oldest section, she found a star chart so ancient it was barely readable. But one thing was clear. Earth had been marked as forbidden space long before humans had evolved, long before even the Ancients had achieved spaceflight. Whatever had scared the galaxy's oldest species away from Earth had been there all along, quietly sharing the planet with humanity. And now, for some reason, the Ancients thought it was about to wake up. Ridge's hands shook as he decoded more of the restricted files from the Ancients' archives. His small research ship drifted behind Earth's moon, hidden from both human sensors and his own people's search parties. He knew they would be looking for him by now. "Computer, show me the next section of records," he said quietly. The screen flickered, displaying text so old that most of the symbols had been lost to time. but what he could read made his breath catch in his throat. They weren't afraid of humans, he muttered to himself. They never were. The quarantine wasn't about humans at all. On the horizon, Captain Walker watched as Commander Thompson's face appeared on his communication screen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Captain, I found something in the lunar archives," she said, her voice tense. The ancients didn't just avoid Earth. They tried to study it. But every research team they sent disappeared. Walker leaned forward. "Disappeared how?" "Not destroyed," Thompson replied. "Just gone. Like they stepped through a door and never came back. The records say they detected their ship's energy signatures moving in ways that should be impossible. Like they went somewhere else. Somewhere that isn't here." The ship's sensors beeped again, showing more of those strange energy patterns around Earth. Walker had started calling them ghost signals because they appeared and disappeared like phantoms. "Commander," he said, "I'm sending you our latest sensor data. These patterns we're seeing, they match what the ancients detected before their teams vanished." Ridge's computer suddenly lit up with an alert. His sensors had caught something, a massive energy shift near Earth's surface. He zoomed in on the location, the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. "Computer, analyze energy signature," he ordered. "Analysis complete," the computer responded. "Energy pattern matches historical records from Earth observation dated. Error. Date cannot be calculated. Records predate known calendar systems." Ridge's hands flew over his control panel, gathering as much data as he could. Whatever was down there was old. Older than the ancients. Older than recorded time. Back on the lunar base, Commander Thompson had found something else. Hidden deep in the archives was a message, written by the ancients themselves. "We were not the first. We were never the first. Earth was already claimed when our species was young. We did not understand what we found there. We thought we could study them, control them, maybe even communicate with them. We were wrong. They exist in ways we cannot comprehend. They move through spaces we cannot see. And they are patient. So patient they make our billion-year civilization seem like a single heartbeat in comparison." As Thompson read these words aloud to Walker over the communication link, Ridge made his own discovery. His sensors had picked up something impossible, a pattern of movement that seemed to exist in more dimensions than space should have. "Computer, calculate the size of the anomaly," he ordered. "Error," the computer responded. "Anomaly appears to exist in multiple spatial locations simultaneously. Size calculation impossible." Ridge stared at his screens as the pattern shifted again. Then he realized something that made his blood run cold. The pattern wasn't random. It was a language. The oldest language in the galaxy, and it was spelling out a message. "We see you watching. We have always seen you. We watched you grow. We watched all of you grow. The ones you call the ancients, the ones who run and hide, and our youngest siblings, the humans. Did you think we would let harm come to them?" As this message appeared on Ridge's screen, every sensor on Earth began detecting the same strange patterns. Something that had been sleeping for millions of years was waking up, and it had been protecting humanity all along. Down on Earth's surface, in homes and offices and streets around the world, humans went about their daily lives, unaware that they had never been alone. Unaware that they had been guarded since before their species was born. Unaware that their guardians were finally ready to reveal themselves. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the research submarine Discovery moved slowly through the dark waters. Dr. Mark Peters watched the depth meter tick past 3,000 meters. They were searching for something that shouldn't exist. Structures that had shown up on their sonar, too regular to be natural. "All systems normal," his pilot, Anna, reported, "though we're getting some strange readings from the water ahead. It's warmer than it should be." The submarine's lights cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but empty water. Then something changed. The water ahead of them began to glow with a soft blue light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Are you seeing this?" Anna whispered, even though no one outside could hear them. Before Peters could answer, their radio crackled to life. A voice came through. Captain Walker from the Horizon. Discovery, this is Horizon. We're tracking multiple anomalies converging on your location. Get out of there now. But Peters couldn't take his eyes off what the lights were now revealing. Rising from the ocean floor was a structure that defied explanation. It looked like a city, but not one built by human hands. The buildings, if you could call them that, seemed to shift and change as he watched. It's been here all along, Peters said into his radio. Right under our oceans. How did we never find it before? In orbit above Earth, Ridge had managed to establish contact with the Horizon. His small research ship was now docked with the human vessel as he shared what he had learned from the Ancients' archives. The beings that live here, Ridge explained to Walker and Thompson, they don't exist the way we do. They can move through space, time, and dimensions we can't even see. The Ancients tried to study them once. That's when they learned the truth. What truth? Walker asked. That Earth was never empty, Ridge said. These beings were here billions of years before the Ancients evolved. They watched life develop on Earth. They guided it. Commander Thompson pulled up the sensor readings from the Pacific Ocean. Are you saying they created humans? Ridge shook his head. No. According to the archives, they did something much more interesting. They protected humans, guided their evolution, but not to make servants or weapons. They were creating siblings. Deep under the ocean, Peters and Anna watched as the glowing structures began to move. Patterns of light danced through the water, forming shapes and symbols that somehow felt familiar, like a language they should know but had forgotten. Dr. Peters, Anna said, her voice shaking, I think they're trying to talk to us. The pattern swirled faster, and suddenly both Peters and Anna understood. Not through words or pictures, but through a kind of knowledge that simply appeared in their minds. They saw the truth, Earth's history from the perspective of beings who had watched it all unfold. They saw the Ancients' first attempt to colonize Earth, millions of years ago. They saw how Earth's original inhabitants had stopped them, not through violence, but by simply showing them how small and young they still were. They saw how these ancient beings had watched life evolve on Earth, subtly guiding it, not controlling, but nurturing. They had seen something in early humans, a potential to bridge the gap between the physical world and whatever higher dimensions they themselves existed in. In orbit, the Horizon's sensors lit up as energy patterns appeared all around Earth. Walker, Thompson, and Ridge watched in awe as the patterns formed a network that covered the entire planet. They're not hiding anymore, Ridge whispered. They're waking up, and they want everyone to know that humans are under their protection. The truth was finally clear. Humanity had never been alone on Earth. They had been watched, protected, and guided by beings so ancient and powerful that even the Ancients feared them. And now, these ancient guardians were ready to introduce themselves to their younger siblings and to the galaxy that had lived in fear of them for so long. The beings revealed themselves slowly, careful not to overwhelm the humans they had watched for so long. They appeared as patterns of light and energy, shifting through colors that human eyes had never seen before. They moved through solid matter as if it wasn't there, existing in multiple places at once. On the horizon, Walker, Thompson, and Ridge watched as one of these beings manifested in the ship's meeting room. It looked like a gentle aurora, swirling with colors that seemed to come from somewhere beyond normal space. We have waited long for this moment, it communicated, not through sound but directly into their minds. You are ready now. Ready to understand. Thompson found herself able to ask the question that had been burning in her mind. What are you? The aurora-like being swirled, its colors shifting to show what looked like stars being born and dying. We are the first children of this universe. We were here when the galaxy was young. We watched the stars form. We saw the first planets cool, and we chose Earth as our home. But why Earth? Walker asked. Because we saw its potential, the being answered. We saw what life here could become, what you could become. On the submarine Discovery, deep under the Pacific, Peters and Anna were having their own conversation with another of these beings. Their visitor showed them visions of Earth's past, but not just the past that scientists had pieced together. They saw Earth as it had been billions of years ago, when these beings first arrived. "We are not solid like you," their visitor explained. "We exist in many dimensions at once. We can move through time as you move through space. But we were lonely. We wanted siblings who could understand both worlds, the physical one you know, and the higher dimensions where we live." In orbit, Ridge was beginning to understand. "You guided human evolution," he said to their visitor, "not to make them serve you, but to make them able to bridge both worlds." "Yes," the being confirmed. "Humans are unique in the galaxy. They have the potential to perceive and interact with higher dimensions while still existing in the physical world. They are our bridge between realms." Around the world, more of these beings were revealing themselves. They appeared in cities, in forests, in the depths of the oceans. They showed themselves differently to each person. Some saw swirling lights, others saw patterns in the air, and some simply felt their presence as a gentle awareness in their minds. "The ancients fear us," the being on the horizon continued, "because they cannot understand us. They exist only in the physical realm. But humans," the being's colors shifted to warm, gentle hues. "Humans dream. They imagine. They can sense things beyond their physical world. These are not random traits. These are the gifts we helped develop in you." Thompson suddenly remembered something. All those times in human history when people reported seeing strange lights, feeling unseen presences, experiencing things they couldn't explain. "Yes," the being confirmed. "We were never hiding from you. We were waiting for you to develop enough to truly see us, to understand us. And now that time has come." The being expanded, filling the room with shifting patterns of light and energy. "The galaxy fears what it cannot control. The ancients fear what they cannot understand. But you, our younger siblings, you have grown enough to walk in both worlds, the physical realm and the higher dimensions. You are ready to know your true place in the universe." As the being spoke, humans around the world were beginning to sense things they had never noticed before. The world seemed more alive, more connected. They could feel the presence of their ancient guardians, not as fearsome entities to be afraid of, but as older siblings who had watched over them since the beginning of their species. The warning came from Earth's long-range sensors first. A fleet of warships had entered the solar system, their engines burning hot as they pushed toward Earth. They belonged to the Ravagers, a species known for taking what they wanted by force. They had ignored all warnings about Earth's forbidden status. "They don't believe the warnings," Ridge said, watching the sensor displays on the horizon. "They think the ancients are just being superstitious." Captain Walker watched the incoming fleet with growing concern. There were 50 ships, each one bigger than anything humans had built. "How many people can we evacuate before they get here?" "None," Commander Thompson answered, studying the data. "They're using some kind of faster-than-light technology we've never seen. They'll be here in minutes." The lead Ravager ship broadcast a message across all frequencies. "Your warnings mean nothing. Earth's resources belong to the strong. The humans are too young to stop us. And your ancient guardians, they're just stories to scare children." In orbit around Earth, the Horizon's crew watched as the Ravager fleet approached. Their ships were dark, angular things that looked like they were built for war. They moved into attack formation, preparing to strike. Then something changed. The space around Earth began to shimmer with familiar patterns of light and energy. The ancient guardians were revealing themselves, not just to humans this time, but to the entire galaxy. They emerged from dimensions beyond normal space, their forms now visible to everyone. They were beautiful and terrifying all at once. They moved through space like living auroras, their bodies spanning miles, their consciousness existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Some looked like swirling galaxies, others like waves of pure energy. They had hidden their true nature for millions of years, but now they showed themselves in all their power. Last warning. The Guardians communicated to the Ravager fleet, their thoughts reaching across space. Leave this system. The Ravagers responded by firing their weapons. Beams of energy and destructive missiles shot toward Earth. But before they could strike, the space around them changed. The Guardians moved. They didn't fight in any way that physical beings would understand. Instead, they simply altered the nature of space itself. The Ravagers' weapons vanished, transformed into harmless light. Their ship's engines stopped working as the laws of physics were temporarily rewritten around them. "We are not violent," the Guardians communicated to everyone watching. "We have never needed to be. We simply are, and what we are is far beyond your ability to fight." From his ship, Ridge watched in awe as the Guardians demonstrated why the ancients feared them. One of the Ravager ships tried to escape, engaging its fastest engines. A Guardian simply moved the space around it, and the ship found itself back where it started, its advanced technology useless against beings who could manipulate reality itself. "Now you understand," the Guardian said to the Ravagers. "This is why Earth was marked forbidden. Not to protect you from humans, but to protect you from us. We are Earth's original children, and humans are our siblings. We will not allow harm to come to them." The Ravager fleet hung motionless in space, their mighty weapons and powerful engines rendered useless by beings who had mastered the fundamental forces of the universe billions of years ago. Their leader tried one last threat. "The galaxy will not stand for this interference." The Guardians' response filled every mind in range. "The galaxy has known of us since before your species learned to make fire. Ask the ancients why they fear us. Ask them what happened when they tried to conquer Earth, back when your kind were still swimming in primordial seas." As the Guardians spoke, more of them emerged from their higher dimensions. They surrounded Earth like a living shield of light and energy, visible to every telescope and sensor in the galaxy. They were showing everyone watching that Earth was not defenseless. It had never been defenseless. It was protected by beings so powerful they didn't even need to fight to win. 1 month after the Ravager fleet's failed attack, Earth had changed forever. The ancient Guardians now moved openly through cities and skies, no longer hiding their presence. Humans were beginning to understand their unique place in the galaxy and the gift their elder siblings had given them. In New York, a young girl walked with her mother through Central Park, watching a Guardian drift overhead like a living rainbow. She could see it more clearly than most adults could. The Guardians had been right. Human children found it easier to perceive higher dimensions. On the horizon, Captain Walker sat with Ridge and Commander Thompson, watching Earth through the ship's viewing window. The planet looked different now. Patterns of energy rippled around it like a protective shell, visible to everyone. "The Galactic Council has called for an emergency meeting," Ridge said, reading from his tablet. "And this time, Earth is invited. In fact, we're the main topic." Thompson smiled. "They can't ignore us anymore. Not now that everyone knows what we are, what we can become." The Guardian who had first contacted them appeared in the room, its form shimmering with gentle colors. "The galaxy fears change," it communicated. "But change is coming. Humans are ready to take their place as bridges between worlds." Walker looked at the being curiously. "Is that why you helped us evolve? To be bridges?" "Yes," the Guardian answered. "Most species can only perceive the physical world. The ancients, for all their age and knowledge, are limited to 3 dimensions. But humans," the Guardian's colors shifted to warm, proud hues. "Humans can sense more. You dream. You imagine. You feel things you cannot see. These are not weaknesses. They are the beginning of understanding higher dimensions." Around the world, humans were discovering new abilities, not supernatural powers, but a growing awareness of the spaces between spaces, the dimensions that existed alongside their own. Children were learning to see the Guardians more clearly. Artists were painting colors that hadn't existed before. Scientists were developing new theories about space and time, guided by their ability to perceive things their instruments couldn't detect. The Ravager fleet had been allowed to leave, carrying news of what they had witnessed back to their people. The ancients had finally broken their silence, sharing the full history of Earth with the Galactic Council. They told of their own failed attempt to colonize Earth billions of years ago, and how the Guardians had shown them mercy by simply sending them away instead of destroying them. "The galaxy will adapt," Ridge said, watching Earth's swirling energy patterns. "They're already calling humans the Bridgers, the species that exists in both worlds." A message arrived from Earth's new diplomatic office. "The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth's special status. The Guardians are acknowledged as Earth's original inhabitants, and humans as their chosen siblings. All species are warned that Earth is under their protection, but peaceful contact is welcomed." The Guardians' colors rippled with satisfaction. "Now you understand why we waited so long to reveal ourselves. You needed to develop on your own, to reach for the stars by your own choice. But you were never alone. We watched every step, protected you from threats you never knew existed, and guided your evolution towards something unique in the galaxy." Thompson looked at the Guardian with new understanding. "We're not just another young species, are we? We're something new, something that hasn't existed before." "Yes," the Guardian confirmed. "You are our greatest achievement. A species that can walk in the physical world but perceive the higher dimensions. Through you, the galaxy will learn to see what it has been blind to for billions of years." Outside the horizon's windows, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun. But now its movement was accompanied by shifting patterns of light and energy as the Guardians moved freely through dimensions, no longer hiding their presence. They had protected their younger siblings since the first humans looked up at the stars with wonder. And now, finally, those siblings were ready to understand their true heritage, not just as Earth's children, but as bridges between worlds.